This week on Feel Good Friday, faking your death for likes. Sex is a sport. ER waitlists are a game changer. AI can read our thoughts. And lupus treatment awoke a woman from a 20-year-long catatonia. Got that one close. I forgot how long that last bit was.
I felt like there was a sort of like a smugness to the way that you were killing it.
I know.
And then you were like, oh shit, at the end.
Got a little comfortable there. Remind me, we used to have like a segment, like a segment that lasted like 2 episodes, where it was like Ding Dong of the Week. Do you guys remember something like that?
We did. I just don't remember what it was called. It might have been called.
Well,
I think it was called Ding Dong of the Week.
All right, so Ding Dong of the Week, we got a new one.
Okay.
Dude, this is insane.
I like Ding Dong of the Week.
Man fakes his own death so he can film himself arriving at his funeral by helicopter to, quote, teach his family a lesson about staying in touch.
Dude, this is literally a scene from Arrested Development. Do you remember? Do you remember the character from Arrested Development who was the friend?
Oh my God!
The friend of George Bluth who would play a prank on the kids where he would like get hit by a car and his arm would fly off, and then they'd get out and it would be a dummy arm. And then he'd go, and that's why you never, and like it was just always to teach them a lesson.
And here's the thing, that is from a comedy television show, and why that's on a comedy show is because that's an absurd thing to do.
It's a funny
Dude,
make-believe.
I hate this because it's like, you know when like if somebody says that they're trying to teach you something, how much do you want to learn it? Like if somebody's like, I'm trying to teach you a lesson.
I mean, I'm a 35-year-old man. If someone's trying to teach me a lesson.
It's like telling somebody to calm down.
Like, right, exactly.
Get out of here, you goddamn jackass.
That's how I feel about that.
The thing that I find so annoying about this is
wait
like,
till we get into it. Yeah, I haven't even told you.
I mean,
the sheer
Did he get arrested,
insanity. No.
Well,
no.
purely based off the headline, I just find like if he wants to get his family to stay in touch with him, like presumably he feels like his family is bad at staying in touch. This lesson that he's trying to teach them is like, it's just going to make them never want to talk to him again.
Well, I disagree with you there in that I don't think he really gives a fuck about his family. So,
right, yeah, of course.
A man in Belgium faked his death and then turned up to his own funeral in a helicopter.
That's epic.
I mean,
if
if we're going to be talking about something that's cool at a funeral,
Belgians?
it is that. It is showing up at your own funeral in a helicopter going, psych.
Belgians are notoriously robotic.
So this was a part of a dramatic stunt to teach his family, quote unquote, teach his family a lesson about staying in touch. So David Berton, 45, a 45-year-old grown-ass male, and also
Me too.
and also a TikTok creator. So a 45-year-old man who's a TikTok creator.
Would you say a dad?
Say no more. Say no more
This
at
is
all.
becoming very clear.
Yeah.
What the real motivation behind this was.
So David Berton, 45, TikTok creator. Ew. Told his wife and children about his elaborate plan, so at least he let them in on it. He was going, hey guys, I got a really great idea. Okay, I'm going to pretend I'm going to die, all right? And then you guys are in on the fucking joke.
Oh, okay.
Right? So
This
mom,
is starting to get a
mom
little
and
bit funnier.
Mom and kids knew, but they didn't tell the rest of his family. And so one of his daughters helped to trick his followers. Oh, they even went along with it on social media. They were like David's dead, like on his TikTok. So one of his daughters helped the trick his followers in what many online have slammed as a cruel joke, writing on social media, "Rest in peace, Daddy. I will never stop thinking of you."
Whoa.
Why is life so unfair? Why you? You were going to be a grandfather and you still had your whole life ahead of you. I love you. We love you. We will never forget you.
That takes a little bit of a dark turn.
Guys,
Ha 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 ha.
but the thing that I already
Cool
don't get
joke.
is like, don't you think that this could be like truly traumatic and life altering for the people who are like closest to him that are like not in on the joke?
100%, dude. But
Time to check my social media, yeah. To see who loves me online.
I forgot.
There's right. Yeah, it's all about the likes. They staged his funeral last week near Liège. And as mourners gathered, Barten, who by Ragnar Lefeu online made a grand entrance with a film crew by helicopter. The pitiful prank by the TikToker who has 162,000 followers. Like it's not, like in the grand scheme of things on TikTok.
That's like a,
It's like
a little
it's
drop.
It's not a lot. It's not that big. It's not worth going this far out of your way.
No,
he thought
you,
this was going to catapult him into stardom, though.
You know,
TikTok
guys,
stardom.
I'm no familiar with like
You're
starting.
not familiar.
I'm not familiar.
He is not a familiar, which is good because I would be afraid that like any day now you could just like fucking knock me out and bring me back to
Feed
your
me to
fucking
Dracula.
your vampire's lair and sacrifice me. But I'm glad you're not a familiar.
I am familiar with going down a
Just one
road.
second. Wait, next time you take a sip of that coffee, can you slurp it a little louder into the mic, please?
Yeah, that'd be great, actually.
I heard
Please
it
and thank
too.
you.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
So I would say I'm no stranger to
Can you
the
isolate the
to-
video of that slurp,
Yeah,
by the way.
I for sure will.
Jesus
I'm no
Christ.
stranger to like starting down a road of a joke
Yeah.
and on that road realizing that it's not going to be funny.
Yeah, like
You know?
me the other day here at the office.
Right.
I mean, we won't get into what the joke was.
Right.
But yeah, I get it.
Right. You know what I'm talking about. So I can't help but think that like maybe while he's in the helicopter en route to the funeral that there potentially could have been the thought may have crossed his mind that like this is going to be weird when he shows up.
Yeah.
Do you think that he was like at all aware that this was going to be a terrible idea?
No. No.
No, it probably
No,
crossed his mind.
No, I don't. Because I think this is such an extreme case of narcissism that the idea is so outside the realm of possibility for him that this was not okay.
In terms of like who you would rather have as a dad, would you pick Brian Johnson from last week?
100%. I would spit my blood into my own dad's mouth
Or this guy?
than to have this fucking
Taylor, what would you
wiener as
pick?
my dad.
I think I'd pick this guy if I had to pick.
What? Dude,
Yeah.
Brian Johnson's a bajillionaire who probably like has so many sea-doos. All you have to do is give your dad your blood like several days a week. Come on.
I don't know. This guy did show up to his funeral in a helicopter.
Yeah.
So.
Probably broke the bank doing it. Bertan was forced to explain his actions, the Times reports, suggesting that he did so to see how his wider family would react after he claimed they had fallen out of touch with him. Quote, "What I see in my family often hurts me," he said. "I never get invited to anything. Hold on, just let me finish this. Nobody sees me. We all grew apart. I felt unappreciated."
Maybe
That's-
because you're this
Dude,
guy.
I would. Yeah, like you wonder why. I mean, if you're capable of doing this shit, no wonder everybody in your family's like, "Oh, let's not invite Bertan, because he's
Get out of here, you goddamn jackass.
He said, "That's why I wanted to give them a life lesson and show them that you shouldn't wait until someone is dead to meet up with them."
Guys, I do feel bad for him.
This should be a
Like-
clip. We should the clip for Friday. We should make a clip and insert the Arrested Development show the Arrested Development scene because it's
Yeah.
really really funny.
But I do feel bad for him, like because like obviously there's some like deep seated sort of like I don't want to say the word trauma, but like obviously there's a lot going on in his life that has led
Maybe
to him
Or
being the way that
maybe
he
he's
is.
just-
Or maybe he's just an asshole.
Yeah, maybe-
Like,
or
I mean,
maybe.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Is like not everything is based in trauma. Some people are just.
some people suck.
Some people just suck.
It doesn't. I don't think that everything is based in trauma, but I do think that there is like a reason for people being the way that they are. Like,
Well, I mean,
and I think
yeah.
it's like multifactorial, and I think it's hard to pinpoint like the thing that made that person be that way. I don't think you can, but I would imagine that there are a series of unfortunate events in this guy's life that led for him to be the way that he is. And like, you know,
maybe.
not
Maybe.
necessarily unfortunate in like the typical way that you would think of like traumatic childhood or whatever. But like, I think there's
I don't really
reason
subscribe
why.
to that.
Yeah,
I
maybe,
think,
no,
I
you know what,
think-
Brian? Maybe you're right. Let's let this guy off. I think what he did is not his fault.
I'm not letting him off.
And
But you don't think this is like a nature versus
this guy's actually
nurture
a
thing?
good-
Like,
this
you don't
is-
think it's more nurture than nature?
I think
Dude,
that
it's so hard to say.
I
Who
think,
fucking knows?
I think
Who
that
knows?
like what I have learned over the past 14 months of raising Zaya is going from like the moment they do anything, you're like, why did you do that? Was that me or is that just you? I have no idea. And you have no idea. And there's never an indication as to what the balance is that allowed that thing to occur, and you just never know. And I think that it ultimately, in like many different ways, just like ends up being like, I think that we're going down the road as a society. Maybe this is a little bit of a strong statement, but like we're possibly going down the road as a society of like letting people off a little bit too easy by saying, something happened to them or whatever, and let's chalk up their shitty behavior
But it's not.
to like something that wasn't their fault.
It's not letting them off.
I think
easy, I
for
don't
some
think.
people it
I
is.
think
For some people it is.
Yeah.
I think so. For people who have seen Ted Lasso and know about Nate Shelley in the third season, it's like to me that is like the prime example of like how we should treat people. Like not judge them by the darkest moments in their lives, but like show them compassion when they're in those situations and need it the most. Like what
Right.
those people really need.
But
like
for the
this guy,
sake
what
of
he
this
needs-
podcast,
but
that's not funny.
But
so like, let's just shit on this guy right
Yeah.
now because it's funny.
I don't
that
hate this guy.
I'm
I
just
faked his
acknowledging
death.
the fact that what he needs, this guy needs the most in his life is love.
Well,
And he doesn't
right.
know how to get it.
And he's definitely not getting it this way.
I just totally agree.
because
You don't tell people you're dead and then go, now they love me and I'm going to show up in a helicopter and then like point at them and laugh.
well, he said he said that only half of my family came to the funeral, and other relatives have since reached out. I'm sure they reached out to say some really sweet things. He said that proves who really cares about me. He said those who didn't come did contact me to meet up. So in a way, I did win.
Oh, okay. Well, good for him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I really feel like it's not about winners and losers.
This guy it is. Some of his fans agreed that it was a valuable life lesson for his family and told him to ignore the haters. Many admitted they themselves had been deceived by the prank, but they were relieved he was alive. Of course they were. How pissed would you guys be if I did this?
If you did this,
If I did this?
I don't think I'd be pissed.
You don't think you would be pissed if you showed up to my funeral and I flew in on a helicopter and was like, gotcha.
You know, like if it was,
Oh, fuck off. Dude, I know I'm the king of pranks.
I don't know, if like
I'd feel
But,
bad
like,
for you.
I'm trying to think of somebody who
Bri would sit me down and go, hey, who traumatized you to make this decision?
I think if
I'd sit you down and say, Jared, I just want you to know that I love you.
I actually don't know who in my immediate like circle and family I would be pissed at if they did that. I think that everybody that I'm like that's like running through my mind right now, if they did that, I feel like I'd be like, whoa, dude.
But do you think
that's
Man, wow,
hilarious?
you don't think you would be? I would be so upset.
but do you think
if,
it would-
if someone I loved did that?
Would
I
you
mean, it's hard.
laugh?
To,
That's
it's
such
hard-
a horrible
It's hard.
thing.
It's hard to. I think the part that's hard to simulate in my mind is the feeling of thinking that they had died.
Right, because
Right,
it's hard for you to show
Taylor
empathy.
doesn't have feelings.
Yeah,
Right,
right.
yeah. I get that.
Be
That's
hard to imagine.
That's okay.
I need to take MDMA.
Your mic is not plugged in.
I need to
There you
take
go.
some. I need to take some MDMA assisted therapy to put myself in
Right.
the headspace
Yeah.
That's
of
true.
feeling like a friend had died, and then I could get it, and then I could get back
Yeah.
to
But-
it with how I feel.
But I am curious. Do you think you would laugh? Like, do you think that you would think
Right.
like,
Do you think
oh,
you'd be
this
like,
is-
dude,
this
sick
is funny.
prank.
Like, that's
Like,
awesome.
That was fucking
I
great.
think
Well
I'd
done.
just be blown away.
You had me.
I think I'd just be blown away.
I don't think you'd have any appreciation or respect for the quote unquote
the
joke
art,
of it.
the art of the
I
prank.
don't think you would be
Yeah.
like, that's cool, dude.
You know
that
what?
did
I
that."
actually, I feel like we're a little long-winded here, but like, I actually don't really have any more. I used to very much so, but especially in like my adult life, I don't have like any capacity to be angry, to like be angry at a person. Like last night, a guy did something at our group ride that like could have like really fucking hurt me. Like if I had crashed, I would have crashed in a way that would have been possibly life altering.
Let me guess what he did. Drop the banana peel while you were behind him.
Yeah, because it's like Mario Kart.
Was that it?
That was not it.
Oh.
We were just descending at like a super fast speed and like in
Let me guess. Tossed a turtle shell behind him while you were behind him.
For real. When you're riding in like a Tuesday night, like we're racing, but it's also like we're not professionals. So like when we're going to descend down something going really fast, like this is a point where we're going really fast, but we're also not like racing at this point, because we're like, this is the only point where we're going so fast downhill. It's very twisty, very technical. And this guy came inside of me, which is basically just like a big no-no. Because it can fuck up your line, and if there's like turns where you have to, anyway. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" In my mind, and then later he apologized. He apologized to me, and I was like, "I can't." Dude, everybody else was like, "Fuck him." I can't. I just don't have the capacity for it.
Right, but
I think that I would go. I'd be like, "Whoa."
No,
I'm
Taylor,
over it
come on,
now.
dude, hold on. After I say this, after I say this,
experience anger
yes.
like
After
that?
I say this, we're fucking burying this. We're moving on. But let me just say, there's a difference between that and this.
No, I
and
know.
so like there's levels to this shit, right? Is what the kids say, I guess. But there's levels to things that are done that are egregious enough to make you angry, and with good reason. This is something that is just, I mean, the amount of emotional turmoil you're putting people through just for the simple sake of like getting likes, like that is infuriating.
I get it.
Like
And
your
gross.
experience was kind of mid compared to this.
Yeah, it was
like that was a based example.
It was
Yeah.
pretty mid, but I
High key.
it's hard for me to put it's really hard for me to put myself in that.
Well, hey,
It's really hard for me to put myself in the position of like feeling the feelings of a friend dying.
Well, then
So I can't
that
really
makes
say.
me very curious to see where that line gets drawn and where that line gets crossed. So for the next year, I'm going to be working on pranks to just test how cool you are with things.
Just don't include me in them because I'll be sad.
I'll just like next week. I slip in and take Zaya, and then run in and go, someone kidnapped Zaya, and then I let it go on for like 7 weeks of Taylor and Kyla thinking that Zaya was kidnapped, but really she's just like having a good old time at Uncle Jer's. And then I fly in on a helicopter and I go, I found her.
That's an example I can put myself.
Would you be mad?
I would be mad.
Oh, fuck off. All right, let's move on. So this was big in the headlines. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Sweden, I didn't know. I didn't realize Sweden loved their sex. And they love their sex so much that Sweden has declared sex as a sport. And the first ever sex competition is scheduled to take place. Well, it happened last week on June 8th.
Oh, it took place.
It actually happened. And hey, listen to this. It was highly anticipated. It was called the European Sex Championship, which was going to be happening under the guidance of the Swedish Sex Federation. There's a sex federation in Sweden. The participants taking part in this competition will have to engage in sex sessions that will stretch up to 6 hours on a daily basis. One solo match will at least go on for a good 40 to 45 minutes. By the way, this is all from a very, very reputable news source from India. It's basically the CNBC of India. No joke. This is verbatim. One solo match will go on for at least a good 40-45 minutes. The participants will have to compete in a variety of categories, including foreplay, oral sex, penetration, knowledge of the erogenous zones, and so on. I kind of imagine that like there's one sport that.
And that's not pay, that's squirt.
A headline on the website for the Times of India, one of India's most popular and reputable newspapers, reads that Sweden will soon host the European Sex Championship. And according to the report, Sweden has officially recognized sex as a sport, and to determine who's best at it, would host a tournament in which contestants would engage in daily encounters lasting upwards of 6 hours.
So you said something last week, because I know we were supposed to cover this last week and we ran out of time. You said something that alluded to the possibility that this might have all been bullshit.
Well, here's an interesting thing. This popped up on social media. I'm sure some of our listeners have seen it.
I saw it.
It popped up all over actual legitimate news source websites.
AI.
And none of it is true. None of it is
Wow.
true.
You know
And
what?
the only thing that is true is that there is a Swedish sex federation, which is run by one dude who owns a strip club.
Okay.
And he asked to, well, here's how it all started. Göteborg Posten, one of the major Swedish language dailies, reported that a Swedish man named, dude, this is a fucking sick name, Dragan Bratic,
That is a sick name.
was behind the whole drama.
He's
According to the newspaper, Bratic owns...
Khaleesi's arch nemesis.
He sounds like he's in his villain.
Dragan Bratic. He owns several strip clubs and wanted sex to be classified as a sport. So this is legit. He was like, you know what? It's like I want sex as a sport. And so he submitted an application to become a member of the Confederation in January of this year. And the Swedish Sports Confederation confirmed that there was an individual who claimed that there was a sex federation and applied for membership, but the application was fucking rejected, obviously. The Swedish Sports Confederation has drawn attention to the fact that some parts of the international media news is currently being spread that a sex federation has become a member of the Swedish Sports Confederation. Setsman, the one of the Swedish Sports Confederation people said, it's false information with the aim of smearing Swedish sports and Sweden.
What? Smearing them with what?
You know what?
Yeah.
That ain't pretty.
And that's not pay, that's squatter.
Another prominent Indian media house associated with CNBC published details on how to participate in the event, even including an email address associated with the Swedish Sex Federation. Interestingly, a website with that name does exist, but it led to a porn site.
Dude,
with
how
a
does
different
this
URL.
happen?
So exactly, and so here's
People just
here
don't
was
do their research.
here
I
was my
guess.
point. It's well, again, you can kind of tie this back to Buddy doing the fucking prank, like the haha prank for the followers. We've gotten to a point now where like, and I don't want to make this all like fucking lamestream media, like dumb shit like that, but we actually have gotten to a point where there's legitimate media sources that are just going, oh, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just say it's real. Let's make up a website. Let's say we had an interview with someone who said something they didn't, and then just put it up, and it'll fucking fly. It'll fly,
and what's
people will
crazy?
click on it, and people will believe it. And now people think that Sweden are just a bunch of fucking sucky fuckies that are just sliding around and cum
And
for medals.
Not to that's really funny. Not to conspiracy theorize this too much, but
Because you very easily go down that road.
yeah, but if you're a news organization and every even the most, even New York Times, Washington Post, fucking LA Times, whatever you want, like any like major publication, they've all got good like front page, investigative journalism going on. And then they've got their sports and they've got blah, blah, blah. And then like several layers down, there is people writing
Just crackpot journalists.
Totally.
Yeah, right.
Talking about shit
Right.
that could not matter less.
Right.
And so if they see a thing like this and there's like very little resources to like verify whether it's
Yeah.
real or whatever, they can easily go, hey, let's write about this. And they don't have to give back the advertising revenue from that they got on their website.
Right.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like 50 million people
Yeah.
go and see this thing on the New York Times website, let's say, for example, and then it turns out to all be not true. People went there. The advertising revenue is being garnered just by the fact that the person arrived on the page.
Just
so
to-
they're making a bunch of money. I'm just saying that there's not really a disincentive for like that level of journalism. There's certainly a disincentive to be wrong on like really stuff
Yeah.
that matters. but like,
But
Now
not
let's
really
throw it to
on
Brian
so-
so we can figure out what trauma led them to make these decisions. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I can explain it. Working with
Right.
at a newspaper and understanding and kind of seeing a bit of how this works from the inside. One, ad revenue, as you pointed out, Taylor, is the biggest source of revenue for these companies. And it's not nefarious. Like, it's not like there's a group of people thinking,
Right.
like sitting in a room going, what are the most clickbaity titles that we can do to do this thing? It's that when they publish these things, they are rewarded when there's more people viewing them.
Sure.
And so they like this like sort of seed is planted in the back of their minds that like how like what can I do to modify the sort of content or the title or whatever to get more people going to these pages. And they're not doing it like to intentionally mislead people or spread false information or do any of these like nefarious things that are like outwardly being talked about in like editorial meetings. But, you know, titles end up coming out that like are a little bit salacious or like a little bit, you know, sort of makes people want to click on them. And so it just sort of like happens in a way where it isn't intentional, but it, you know, ends up having these like really
But I mean, and the part that
Negative
I found really funny about bringing
result.
this up was like, hey, don't believe everything that you read or everything that you hear. And then I was like, you know, what's funny is I read that headline and I went, there's no way.
Same.
But
But I guess.
and so I put the article in. I was like, I guess we'll cover that on Feel Good Friday. And then like, or the day before we were going to record, because we were supposed to cover this last week, I was like, I just want to look into that to get some more details. And I found it was fake. I was like, oh, well, I'll add that too. Like, because I was like, I don't know. We'll fucking talk about it. Dude, 99% of the shit that I find for Feel Good Friday, they could all be fake. I have no fucking idea.
Because it's not.
I don't
Yeah.
fact check jack shit.
Because we're just piggybacking off of news media to find like things that are interesting and funny.
well, we're not journalists.
But we are part of the
that's what I mean.
CBC family. So let's move on. This is legit. I can assure you this is real. Aliens have landed. No, okay. Nova Scotia has provided. This is fucking really cool. If you live in Nova Scotia, and I don't know if this is happening across the country, but if you live in Nova Scotia right now and say you slip and bonk your head and you get all bonked up and you have a boo-boo and you got to go to the ER, there you can go to nshealth.ca/ED wait times. That's for emergency department not erectile dysfunction. And
If
you can
get all
see
bonked up.
you can see the forecast for the next several hours, what the wait times are looking like at the emergency department where you live.
It's
So
an
how are they
amazing
doing right
development.
now? I'm curious.
right now, let's see, in Halifax at the Halifax Infirmary. Well, so why don't you take a guess, Brian? Wednesday, middle of the week, we're recording around 1 p.m. What do you think the wait time is at the QE2?
2 hours and 30 minutes.
Hey, that was pretty good. 2:45. So they give a window.
That's
2
not
hours,
bad.
2 hours and 45 minutes
Good,
to
yeah.
4 hours and 15 minutes. That's a little high. Dartmouth General, 2:45 to 5 hours and 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go down to Kentville,
Ooh.
all of our friends over at Valley Regional Hospital, 15 minutes.
Oh wow.
To an hour and
Dude,
15.
Factor in an hour drive there and back, and you're saving time.
You got time to fucking sit in your own comfortable car, listen to a podcast. You don't have to be
Totally.
like sitting.
Gas money. Factor in.
Yarmouth, 45 minutes. So but the cool thing is that that's predicting ED wait times for 1 p.m. You can scrub ahead to like 8 p.m. and see what the predicted wait times are for that. Now, is this as accurate as the weatherman?
Probably.
No, but it's
I
very
don't
similar.
know.
It's very similar.
I don't know. I don't know how it works.
It's very similar to
How are they making this decision?
It's very similar to the Google feature,
Yeah.
where you see like how much
Busy
traffic
places or
is,
whatever.
how traffic fluctuates at a place, like at a particular like business.
Mhm.
Right,
during
sure. Oh,
multiple
sure.
hours.
Like, sorry. Yes, not the traffic, but the
like traffic within a business,
within
like
a business, like
place is.
like usually
typically
usually
how
busy,
busy it
or
is
whatever.
or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I thought that was really neat. So
It's
and
shocking that it's actually just. I'm very grateful for this, no doubt. Awesome update. It's kind of now that it's here. In retrospect, it's kind of crazy that it's only just
Yeah.
here now.
So like if you,
Guys.
like for example, if I cut my thumb sort of bad, like cutting some potatoes or something, And then I was like, fuck, I probably should go to the ER. And I take a look, and it's like, and I see it's like 7 hours. Okay, well, maybe I'll go somewhere else, or maybe I'll kind of take care of this thumb thing myself and wait till it cools down. Or like, for example, when you got hit by the car, it's like, boom, you get smashed by the car and you need help like immediately. And you look and it says like 5-hour wait. It's like, cool. You can just like wait on the side of the road, wait till that calms down, and then go in when it's like a little more chill, right?
Sometimes you're so hurt that the hospital comes to you.
You know, I just want to say
via ambulance.
via ER on wheels.
You know what's
which
funny, Jerry, is making that point just made me realize that if you are going to this website to check the wait times, don't fucking go to the ER.
Hot take.
No, and I'll tell you why. Because I didn't talk about this on the podcast.
Here he goes,
last
ladies
week,
and gentlemen. He is hot.
but I
coming
used,
in hot.
I'm just saying, I wasn't going to share this, but I'll share it now. I used Virtual Care NS last week.
Yeah, right.
And I spoke to a doctor on the phone, laying down on my couch at home in 45 minutes from signing up.
Right, but it depends on what kind. It depends. I agree with you, but it depends on what you're worried about.
Yeah.
Like,
So for
if it's I cut my finger and I need stitches, or I think I might need stitches, it's like, well, you got to go then.
Yeah.
Or if
Right.
you're like I have this weird pain in my like ribs and I'm not sure what that is,
and my left arm has gone completely numb.
But if
that-
you
well,
know you
in
need
that case,
stitches,
we need to go to the emergency room because we know what that might be.
So my question is,
Oh, okay.
but my question is like, are you using the wait time to check to see if it's worth going to the ER, or are you looking for the best ER to go to with the best ER?
Well, I
in
mean,
terms
if you're
of wait
in
times?
if you're living in Halifax proper, like in the HRM, then
Yeah.
that's a fantastic.
so you're
reason
using it
use
to
the
choose
service.
which hospital
Yeah.
you're going to go to, rather than like
You could.
do I go
Yeah.
to the ER?
I think
I mean,
you use it in both ways.
For some people, you might not even need to go to the ER. You might just need to go.
West Hemorrhoids Treatment Center.
right, exactly.
You know, don't suffer in silence.
But the thing is, what I mean about Virtual Care NS is like, if you're unsure if you need to go to the ER or not, it's probably helpful for you to use Virtual Care first.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
As a like, because I was that's what I used it for. Like,
And you were
I-
quite impressed with it.
I tore my I
Like when
had a
you
low
broke
grade-
my rib,
yeah,
I
perfect.
probably could have called Virtual Care NS, who then would have told me to go to the emergency room.
right.
I was.
Yeah,
I
right.
thought you were going to say who then would have told me to go find a lawyer and sue his ass.
They don't do that type of advice, but yeah. They kinda bad.
And for people that were waiting there for what he was about to say, you tore your.
Hamstring.
Oh. That's not what I thought you tore something else. Let's move on to this week's edition of A Bri. This is one of the cooler things I've heard to date.
I bet
in my life.
it's about
And this
AI.
got my like creative my
juices.
my love for creativity juices flowing.
Okay.
Lots of juice.
And that's not pay, that's squatter.
Okay, so I'm gonna. This is actually, but it's also kind of ominous. I feel like there's like a spookiness to this. So I'm gonna give us a little ambiance while I go through this. So this is about AI and how we've gotten to a point where AI can reconstruct high quality video directly from brain reading. Okay? So we are at a time where legitimately, just around the corner, we can start to watch video of our dreams. Now, I'm not sure if this is what they were going for, but this is how this could be used. So, researchers Jiajin King,
They talked about this at the
Zhao Chen, and Juan Helen Zhou.
the Tristan dude, the guy who made the social dilemma.
Dilemma.
Him and his
Social
buddy,
Dilemma,
they were talking about how they can do this with FMRI.
So they were from that's right. So they're from the National University of Singapore and the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and they used fMRI data and the text-to-image AI model Stable Diffusion, so like Midjourney basically, and fMRI, to create a model called Mind Video that generates video from the brain readings. Their paper describing the work was posted to the ARXIV preprint server last week. Don't know what the fuck that is. There's so much nerd shit in here, but I'll try to get through it.
Preprint is basically like it hasn't been it's a publication that hasn't been peer.
Sure. Okay. So the demonstration on the paper's corresponding website shows a parallel between videos that were shown to subjects and the AI-generated videos created based on their brain activity. So I'm going to bring it up here. So basically, they had subjects sitting down watching video, and the AI is reading their brain waves to spit out an image that is based off what it is that they are viewing. So on the left, you're going to see the video of what they're watching, and on the right, you're going to see the AI's interpretation of what it is that they are watching through their eyes.
The shit's gonna turn into Minority
Guys,
Report, and we're all gonna go to jail.
I don't mean for this to sound like a I knew about this first sort of thing, but it's gonna probably sound like that. When I watched that presentation that those Social Dilemma dudes did, they showed video of this.
Yeah.
So here is
you sent it to me.
And it was fucking crazy.
Here is the video right here. On the left is the actual image. On the right is what the AI generated. And you can see that although it's not exact, you're getting the same color palettes. You're getting, I mean, similar images or like things that are in the video. Like right now we're looking at fish, or we're looking at, a bunch of people walking through traffic, or you're looking at a cat, and you see on the other side, you see a cat, you see fish, maybe not the same type of fish. You see a city,
But the way that you see it is like kind of the way that like you see shit in your dreams. Like it's like,
Yes.
it's like it's real, but it's oddly
Distorted
It's oddly
and just, like-
It's
not real.
There's like an uncanny valley thing, which I mean
Yes.
is what happens currently with AI art and like AI video. I mean, I'm
Yes.
sure some people have seen it, but that video going around of like the beer commercial, like the Bud Light commercial
It's so
made
funny.
generated through AI. So Mind Video is defined by the researchers as a two-model pipeline designed to bridge the gap between image and video brain decoding. To train the system, the researchers used publicly available data set containing video and fMRI brain readings from the test subjects who watched them. The two-model pipeline comprised a trained fMRI encoder and a fine-tuned version of Stable Diffusion.
What do you guys think will be the first thought crime you get charged with?
I mean, so
Dude, Minority Report is here.
we could go into this. We could go into the specifics here. I don't really want to go down that road because it's just so complex. But when I heard about this, my thought immediately went to how fucking sick will this be for the horror genre? You know what I mean? Like the to be able to take the actual images of our nightmares and to put it onto, put it onto film or put it into like a script or whatever. Because like oftentimes, or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's like you think that you romanticize that idea that that's what it would be like, but really it just kind of doesn't pan out that way. It's like when you're sharing your dream with someone and you're like, I had this fucking crazy dream, and you go to tell them, and then you tell them and it's like, it's very much you had to be their moment.
Yeah.
Imagine that you're in the movie theater and like there's this like in a horror movie and there's this like suspense that's building. There's about to be this like really like scary jump scare reveal, and you're sitting in the theater and you're wearing like this device, and when that jump scare happens, everybody experiences something different based on their biggest fears.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Could be
Yeah.
shit like that.
Yeah, totally. I
But-
mean, yeah,
but
I could
also-
see something like that happening.
But I also wonder how like that type of stuff will lead to like, so already in the last year, we've seen an incredible amount of content produced by artificial intelligence. So like, images, music, videos, text,
The
like
new
all these
Beatles
different
song,
things.
I'm sure you guys probably saw that.
Yeah.
The new Beatles song that Paul McCartney is like behind
Yeah.
releasing because it's
The
they're
last
using
Beatles song
AI
they-
to basically.
Oh, I didn't see that.
They're
Yeah.
basically learning, like the AI is
Yeah.
trained on a demo, an unreleased demo tape with
When you
John,
poop
that
in
John
your
Lennon
dreams,
sang.
you poop for real.
But there's so, like for example, there was Kyle Beats just made a video about making a Drake song, and there's like thousands of
Yeah.
these like AI Drake songs now.
Yeah.
And so I wonder like about the like one of the things that makes watching movies and TV a great experience for people who do it. Is the
I love how you're chiming in
like
on this.
Jer and
well,
mean?
is the talking about it with
Yeah.
each other. Like that's the thing that connects you together. And
Yeah.
so if there's all of this unique, individualized, like personalized content that people are looking at, I feel like it's kind of sad in
Yeah.
a way that like, you know, it will be like your dreams where
Yeah.
like you go to share it with somebody.
And it just doesn't like compete with them. Yeah, I mean that's an interesting take, but I'm more so like when I saw this, I was thinking, actually in Cyberpunk 2077, which is actually quite a good game. It was a flop when they released it, but there's this whole thing in that game, in that world. It takes place in like, you know, in the future, in this sort of like utopian / dystopian future. And one of the big things that people partake in is like is signing up to paying to watch people's memories or watch people's dreams. And I could so see like a fucking like YouTube channel rabbit hole of going down of just like watching people's nightmares, watching people's, you know, like I mean, like, if you would you want to watch your dreams? Like, if you could record your dreams in video, would you want to watch it?
I think two things and related to this.
I think it would make
two
me feel
things
so weird.
that this could actually be like a really positive, like a way in which this could be like a really positive step in like society and culture is like the understanding like a major advancement in psychology of being able to actually like actually understand what somebody is dreaming and like in their dreams. And then also the other thing, because these things not necessarily associated with dreams, but how these things were they were showing somebody something in reality.
Yes.
And then it was getting an output of like how they're experiencing it basically. And you see that there's obviously and I don't know what the difference is, whether it's the AI interpreting it or whether it's actually you interpreting it and the AI is actually spitting out like actually how you are interpreting it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So if you could for in some way highlight how people are experiencing reality differently, even though the input is the exact same. And you were kind of speaking to this in terms of the like jump scare. Like we're all like the input is the same for all of us, but the output is different for all of us. It's all coming in as the same.
You mean like somebody with
the same
psychosis
stuff.
who's like if there's two people, one person has psychosis and one person does not.
I mean, that's an extreme.
Understanding what that, like in the extreme situation, understanding.
But on like a smaller scale, it's
even
like
on the smaller scale,
yeah,
like
like
all of us are experiencing we're best
the
friends.
color red or whatever.
We're best friends. So like we're probably experiencing reality in a very close approximation because we've become best friends.
Yeah.
And so because of that, you could probably infer from that our reality is very similar. We're
Right.
experiencing it very similarly. But someone who you don't connect with at all, it could provide an understanding of why you don't connect.
Whoa, kind of like a way to
because-
empathize with the helicopter
Yeah.
guy. You know, like you
Yeah.
suddenly understand
Yeah.
the way they see the world.
Well, I mean, like think about it this way. Like think about a couple, right? And in that couple, one of the two partners is like jealous about somebody else that other person knows, and that other person's like, "Why are you jealous about that
Yeah,
person?"
yeah.
Like
I don't get it.
I don't get it at all. That's that would be a way of going, "Oh, I can now see that you actually feel this way."
that would
Or-
be not. That would be maybe not good in some situations though, because like they
Well,
might put that
if you-
put on the dream helmet, put on the fucking dream.
I mean,
helmet.
but you're right, Brian.
you put it
You're-
on,
you're-
they're like, I told you fucking like the.
You're right that there is this Black Mirror quality to
Oh,
this
yeah.
in the
Oh my
sense
God,
that
yeah.
it's like that Black Mirror episode where
Thought
all of
crimes.
your
Oh, yes.
all of your experiences are recorded. And so the guy found out that his wife was cheating on him through recordings of like all that shit, right? There's pros and cons to it all, but like you could use it in ways to, again, like I just think of like couples therapy
I'm an AI optimist. So.
of like thinking of things that couples fight over, and the problem being like one part of the couple doesn't like see the viewpoint of the other and is having a hard time like understanding how on earth could you think this or see the world through that lens. And then maybe you get to see why they feel that way, and it gives you more empathy, or the person actually sees the way that you see the world through what lens you see it through, and so they go, "Oh, right, I have nothing to be like insecure about or whatever."
What I really want to get
Yeah.
to the bottom of is like, what does red look like for you? You know, like the
Yeah.
famous color idea of like, how do we really know that the colors that we see are the same?
Can you imagine
as
if
each
you
other?
like if you just started seeing through my
I don't really get that.
If you saw through my lens and you guys were just like glorps that like,
They
and I was
could
like, this is
totally
my
be-
reality. What the fuck?
But they could totally be different. Like, my
Yeah.
red could be your blue, and we would never know.
Yeah, my red could be
feel
your
like-
penis. Like
I
it's just
feel-
like I just see red, but you look through my red and
I'm
you go,
not
why are there
exactly
dicks
sure how to
everywhere?
articulate it, but I think that there's a fairly simple way of testing that and being reasonably sure that we are experiencing it in a very similar way, if not identical.
I don't think there is. I
Can't prove
think
it.
I think no one knows what anyone's red is.
It's true.
Here, let's Google it.
How do we really know?
Does
that
anyone know what my red is?
Just say, dude,
Let's see what it says. Oh, there's a video right here. Is your red the same as my red? Can everyone see the color red? Do you see the same? Do you see the same red as me? One person's red might be another person's blue, and vice versa. The scientist said.
Okay,
That's what I
well, hold on.
fucking said.
Maybe let's like read more
No,
than
no, no,
10
no, no.
words before you
No, no,
come to your
it
first
just said that. It
conclusion.
just said that right there. I
Is
found
it
this off an
CNBC
Indian news
or-
website. So anyway, I thought that was really fucking cool, and it got me just like it just every once in a while I just think like, man, I'm so excited about the future.
I now
And-
wanna
and
know
that's
that-
that's one of those things that get me. Really
are we
excited.
seeing the same reds?
We can
Well,
let's dive into it.
We'll dive into it
offline.
next week because no one knows, and there's no way for us to tell,
I think that's true.
contrary to what Taylor believes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. I don't have any.
Sweet dreams are made of the
I mean, this has
So
nothing.
don't play
I
that
just
too
wanted to
long.
play that, but this has nothing to do with that. This is it. This is this week's edition of What the Hell. A woman who spent. So again, let's put our
Conspiracy
spectacle
caps?
glasses on here because who knows? Maybe all this is fucking fabricated by some journalist. But according to the Daily Mail.
Yes, but
and
then, like-
several other reputable
Yeah,
news sources.
the New York Times and all these places, like several.
Crackpot news organizations.
I think
right?
this story was closer to the top of the pile.
I don't know. A woman who spent 20 years in a catatonic state woke up after doctors treated her lupus, and her case could hold the key to curing others of psychosis. So a woman, this is actually a astoundingly fucked up story. A woman trapped in her own mind for 2 decades has woken up and is able to be with her family again thanks to a revolutionary new treatment. April Burrell was just 21 in 1995.
Is the revolutionary new treatment correctly diagnosing her?
I mean, I guess that's sort of what happened here. So for people who aren't aware, April Burrell was 21 in 1995, and she suffered a traumatic event while studying to be an accountant at the University of Maryland. And that left her suffering from constant visual and auditory hallucinations. So she had a traumatic event, which triggered schizophrenia. She was diagnosed with a severe form of schizophrenia. And April spent the next 20 years trapped in a catatonic state, unable to recognize her family and having her every need cared for in a psychiatric hospital in New York.
What is a catatonic state?
It's like...
It's like you're
it's
on, but
I mean
nobody's
it's
home.
yeah, it's like the lights. It's like the lights are off, but you're so like
Wait,
if I
you said it was like the lights are on. You said it was like the lights are off. Are the lights on or off?
Sorry,
They're off.
I said it's like the lights are on, but nobody's home.
or the lights are off and no one's home. You know? I mean,
it doesn't really matter with the lights. Nobody's home.
Regardless,
is
the
point.
jury
She's sitting there. She's
the
sitting.
jury
in a,
is still in on whether or not it's the lights.
She's sitting
are
in
off.
a chair. Her body, for all intents and purposes, does function.
Is
but
that the
she-
difference between being like brain dead?
But
What's the
she
difference
won't
between
move.
Different,
So
different.
she's like sitting, and I read some of this article, and she was sitting in the. She would like sit in a chair and just be like this.
That's it. This is all you're getting. And
Okay.
then it's
So
like,
she's
okay,
sitting up, though.
Okay, April, it's time to go. And they like pick her up and she stands up and they let's go and they walk her and she walks and she just doesn't have any facial like features. She
Doesn't
doesn't
speak.
respond. She doesn't speak. She She moves, but she only moves at the guidance of somebody else.
So that's the difference between like being brain dead and catatonic.
Yeah.
Like catatonic.
Yeah, like she's
you're
not.
like-
She wasn't in a coma.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's read the definition. Catatonia is a disorder that disrupts a person's awareness of the world around them. People with this condition sometimes react very little or not at all to their surroundings, or might behave in ways that are unusual, unexpected, or unsafe to themselves or others.
Maybe
So-
the guy who faked his death was catatonic.
How so?
I don't know. He would
don't
fit
really
in that.
He had a
definition.
lack of awareness of the world around him, and
That's,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a
yep.
loose application.
Yep. Yeah.
But-
Yeah. I see where you're going. So 20 years. She was catatonic for 20 years until one day she woke up thanks to a team of medics who treated her for lupus, a disorder that they discovered was causing her immune system to attack her brain. This is fucking crazy. So her doctors hope that the discovery could help treat hundreds of patients in a similar situation. Professor Sander Marks, director of precision psychiatry at Columbia University, was one of the team of medics who treated April. In a bizarre coincidence, he told the Washington Post how he had met April back when he was just a medical student, and the memory of her stayed with him. Quote, "She would just stare and just stand there," he said. "She wouldn't shower, she wouldn't go outside, she wouldn't smile, she wouldn't laugh, and the nursing staff had to physically maneuver her." Almost 2 decades later, Professor Marks would meet April again after one of his students went to the same psychiatric hospital and spoke about meeting the same woman. Shocked there had been no improvement in 20 years, Professor Marks spoke to her family and gathered a team of experts to run a full analysis on her condition. They found signs of lupus in her blood work. Around 1.5 million people in the U.S. are thought to suffer from the long-term autoimmune condition. More women than men suffer from the condition. And the cause is not fully understood, but a viral infection, sometimes medication, sunlight, puberty, and menopause are all thought to be possible causes of lupus.
And to like get to that diagnosis of lupus, from what I remember from the conversations we've had,
It's
you have to have
extremely
like,
difficult.
Like there's like a checklist
Yeah.
of like a bunch of different
Yeah.
things that you need to like, and
Yeah.
if you check a certain amount of them,
Because
then
it can
get diagnosed,
it can
right?
present as like certain symptoms can present as like a myriad of different
That's right.
specific
Right.
diseases.
That's right. Yeah, that's why it's so hard, is because it can look like a variety of different things. So brain scans showed evidence that April's immune system was attacking her temporal lobes, which are vital for processing information and emotions as well as language. And April's case was unusual, as normally lupus attacks areas like skin, joints, kidneys, the heart, not the brain. And in her case, the condition was only attacking the brain, meaning there was no other, more obvious symptoms that she had the condition. But now it had been found, and the disease could be treated. The process was long and arduous. April needed to undergo immunotherapy treatment using powerful drugs to bring her immune system back into line. This treatment would end up taking a year due to the need of to take a month-long break between rounds of medication to let the immune system recover. And tests requiring her to draw a clock, which is a common way of measuring cognitive ability, started to show promise. Prior to the treatment, April's drawings were akin to those of a dementia patient, meaningless scribbles. But slowly, over the months that followed, she started to draw one half of the clock face, then almost a perfect one. Then, after a year of treatment, April woke up in 2020 and was able to meet her family again in 2021 after COVID visiting restrictions were lifted. Her brother, Guy
Oh my
Burrell-
God. Oh my
right?
God.
Waking
Yeah,
up going,
Can you imagine? And they're
Right?
like, "Well, hold on,
hold
pump
on,
the
listen,
brakes."
listen. A lot has happened. She's like,
Now the right feels this way, and the left, well, they feel this way.
is Boy Meets World still on TV? Her brother Guy Burrell recalled, when she came in there, you would have thought she was a brand new person. She knew all of us, remembered different stuff from back when she was a child. While a source of joy to one family, April's recovery could also give hope to hundreds of other patients who may be trapped in a similar mental state from a treatable condition. Although experts suspect the portion of patients whose catatonic state is caused by an autoimmune condition like lupus is small, Professor Marks said it should be considered. These are the forgotten souls, he said. We are not just improving the lives of these people, but we're bringing them back from a place that I didn't think they could come back from. which is so fucking wild to think.
Yeah.
Is there anything about what her experience in that time was like? Like
There
did she-
will be when
like-
she wears one of those brain helmets.
like was she able to describe?
I don't know. I mean,
or
I'm
maybe
not
she
sure.
Was just off.
Well, let's look at it this way. The episode of Routine Checkup, which came out this week, was about ICU delirium and about people who are who have undergone medically induced coma, and specifically for those patients. Even though this is separate, this is a different thing. For those patients who are medically induced into coma, their experience in that is that they remember all of that. It's not like they fucking go to sleep and like have a dreamless experience where they just go to sleep and they wake up and they're like, oh, time has passed. They are experiencing oftentimes horrific, super strong, hardcore hallucinogenic nightmares while they are in a medically induced coma. So I don't know, but if you told me that the last 20 years she spent in this catatonic state and was experiencing all sorts of fucked up hallucinations, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, who knows?
Do you sleep while you're catatonic?
I mean, you're kind of always asleep, really.
I guess you
just,
probably
just
have to.
sleep with your eyes
If
open.
you didn't sleep for that long, you'd die.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean,
So you must sleep.
Shoot,
yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
Like, I mean, maybe your body just like
I
kind of
don't
taps
know.
into that circadian rhythm, and it's like, I guess it's time to shut down even further.
Shut down.
Like, what does waking up with catatonia look like? Just this?
Probably, yeah.
No, it's
yeah.
probably like this.
Wait, do they sleep with their eyes fully open? Their eyes would
Oh,
get
you
so
mean
dry.
you mean like waking up from sleep or waking up from the catatonic
No. I mean, okay, I have catatonia right now,
Yeah.
And you're sleeping.
and now I'm going to go to sleep.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
you
slept
close
for
your
about
eyes.
8 hours, and now I still have catatonia, and I wake up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what
Yeah,
it
you
looks
just
like.
open your
Did I
eyes.
nail that?
Totally.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Guys, I went to Ryerson Theater School.
You did.
I think the saddest part is that like
You almost graduated.
and not that this is the not that this is the fault of the
Hey, man, I quit because I got a job as a children's television show host.
I think that not that this is the fault of the medical team, but it is sad that it was like 20 years and the guy who was in med school
I
at
had
the
no
time
idea. Yeah.
like sort of, I mean, it says that he didn't forget about her, but like obviously wasn't working with her during that time. And then one of his students is like, hey, this, I met this patient, and then they're like, let's solve that problem, and then they do. Like,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Like, it's
that's
just-
some heroic work, of him going, huh?
no, I think
that's-
Brian's not saying. I think Brian's saying kind of the opposite of that.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying that I
No,
said
yeah.
not that it's the fault of the medical team, but like it sucks that somebody has suffered with this thing for that
Right.
long without getting.
But what
you know,
I'm
like,
saying is that's
the help
an
that they
extremely
needed.
heroic thing for him to go to him, for him to hear that his med student talk about her, and he goes, "Oh yeah, April. Holy fuck, nothing has changed in 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
guys. Let's go on an adventure." And he like puts together a fucking
Yeah.
super team of.
I mean, I think you
of
also
docs.
probably have to consider the time at the time at which she went into that state, where healthcare and medicine and like the I don't know, like the thought processes around
Sure.
people's states are like completely different than they might be now. So like,
But also, we like it's a fact of like us not even knowing what we don't know, right? And
But
so it took them. I think they got lucky. I think they got
It's
lucky
like
that
not-
they found
not
this.
it's
to-
like slightly
to-
similar to like thinking that anybody who had like a mental health condition or anybody who was like mentally challenged in some way or like had like learning disabilities, so they were just like, let's just put them
put him
away.
in. Put him in.
Like, at
a,
one point, that was like the
yeah,
standard of
put
care.
him in the
Not
put him in the
to-
school.
I'm not assuming this about her experience, but I think that there's also probably with patients in the hospital that you're never seeing improvement with, that there's probably some healthcare providers that are just assume that is the way that things will be. Like that's just that person's situation. We've looked into it, like based on their charts and stuff. It looks like, we've done everything that we can at this point. But like there is the chance where if somebody really digs into it and really just tries to solve the problem, that they could.
Well, I mean, again,
Help them.
tying this back to our conversation with Kaylee Dayton about ICU delirium, it's like there's some schools of there's this unfortunate school of thought of like, yeah, that's just, you take him out of surgery, you try to take him out of sedation, and they're just fucking loopy, so you just put him back to sleep. And she's trying to push that message out there of like, no, there's a different way. There is a more helpful way we can do this. You just have to know the signs, know what you're looking for, and approach it from that perspective.
As this episode comes out, that has not been released yet, right?
It has. It was released this week.
Today.
Today?
Today as we're recording
today as
this.
we're recording this.
It
Oh,
was
okay.
released since now the podcast is going to come out on Friday, so it came out 2 days ago. So and currently it's June 14th, so that would have been today.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
Friday,
And if you're
June
listening,
16th.
if you haven't,
if you're
if you-
listening next Wednesday on
Jesus
June
Christ.
21st,
then it
Oh
would
my
have
God.
come
That
out a
would
week
be-
prior to that.
Okay.
yeah.
If you haven't listened to that episode yet, fucking listen to
This
it.
is an
It
evergreen episode. I'll
it
tell you that
is-
right now.
It is mind blowing.
It is, yeah.
It is
Yeah.
mind blowing.
You know what else is mind blowing?
The fact
That this
we've come to
episode
the
is
end.
over. And so we hope you enjoyed that. And if you want to support the podcast, you can do that by leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And come on over to the Discord channel. Lots of conversations happening in there. You can help us produce the podcast from there, and join the episode discussion channel because lots of fun stuff to be chatted about over there.
And if you want to be a guest on the show, submit an application by going to our website, sickboypodcast.com. And there's a button there. It's obvious. Click it. Fill out the form.
Mm-hmm. And if you love what we're up to and you just want to help share the word of what we're doing in general, just go to social media and like and share and tell other people about the show, because that also helps us get new listeners. And a huge thank you to Rich O'Coin for the theme music and Jeff Lonis, our manager. We love you guys both.
That is it for this week.
I'm Brian.
I'm Taylor.
And I'm Jeremy, and this is Sick Boy.